umenifanya nione umbali nami. Ukweli ni kuwa uliposema hutaniacha kamwe, hivyo tu ndivyo unavyotenda. Na hulali pia waniwaza. Baba, nipe uvumilivu, uvumilivu. Baba, nipe uvumilivu, uvumilivu. Siku zangu zote nikungoje. Uvumilivu, uvumilivu, uvumilivu. Yesu, nitakungoja Yesu, nitakungoja, 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 ninakungoja Yesu, ninakungoja, 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 nitakungoja Yesu, nitakungoja, 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 ninakungoja Yesu, ninakungoja, 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 ninakungoja Yesu, nitakungoja, 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 Baba.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. We are so delighted to be back on Homescapes. Yani, I'm saying Homescapes is back. And haven't we missed you? Have you missed us? We have so missed you, and we are so delighted to be back. And we want to welcome you from City, from our Roca congregation, and from our friends as far as the US. Last week we had Marvin Williams from Michigan all the way greeting us and watching in. So this is really cool to be back and to have you, and we want to tell you that we are here for you. And when you are away, we were away, and when we were away, we actually thought about you.
We did a lot.
Didn't we? Yeah. And we shall tell you how much we thought about you in a bit. But right now, again, for the very and most exciting audience, we have the very exciting panel. And let me have a chance to introduce us. We start from my right. That's right, yeah?
Yes, right.
This is my right hand side.
You're right.
So we start there. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you've been, what you've been up to. Yeah.
Good, whatever time, afternoon.
Afternoon. You've been away too long.
It's been a while since we were on screen, but we thank God for this opportunity to come back to Homescapes. I'm excited to be here. I have much more to say about where I have been, so should I say it now or after the introductions?
Okay, let's after the introduction.
After the introductions.
Yeah.
But for now, I just want to say I'm happy to be here,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to Homescapes Season 2.
And we are happy to have you back. Yes.
And good afternoon from wherever you're watching us from. It's a great, great joy to be back here. Yani, I've been waiting. I don't know about you. I've been waiting to hook up with this cool crew. So it's a joy. Looking forward to interacting with you. Cool crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
got it. I
That's
got
a
it.
tongue
So-
twister already.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Karibu sana, Jasmine.
Thank you.
My name is Lorraine Bundi. My people, the last time you saw me, you were probably seeing my stomach first before you saw me. But here I am. I will also tell you where I have been, although it's a bit obvious. I'm really, really excited to be here. Aki, you all know, you know.
And
I'm
we
happy
are
to be
so
here.
excited to have you back, yeah?
Excited to
And
have
on my left now,
All right, good afternoon. It's such a joy to be back. We've been looking forward to all those who've been asking me, those from our church who've been asking me, when is Homescapes coming back? Now we are right here, and we are looking forward to great things in this season 2 of Homescapes. And so I'm really happy to be here today.
excellent.
Asante.
So nice to have you back. And then very far left.
Yes, this is myself. Very excited to be back. Homescape Season 2, I can't believe we are back here. I think we took a break. We didn't expect it will take this long. But, life happens. Life happens. And just to acknowledge all of you for being patient, you've waited for us. We actually haven't been idle. There were real reasons why we couldn't be here. The seasons change. Like, life comes with blessings and sometimes with some pain. I think one of us who's missing from the set right now is, Pastor Julie. Obviously, you know what happened to her dad, and they're still in the season of mourning. Reverend Lovey will tell us a little bit about that. We also, as a church, we lost one of us, Edith Ijai, who used to be in charge of our kitchen for many years. For all the 15 years that we've existed as Mamlaka, she passed on, went to be with the Lord. Of course, that's a season for the church. Even here in Ruaka, we lost our landlord, Mr. David Waiganjo Koinange. He passed on not too long ago. Again, we were involved in the funeral. So the seasons of life. And because this is Homescapes, those are the things that happen. We know there are things happening in your life as well. And some of you have lost loved ones. Others have been unwell. Others have recovered. Good things have happened. I think, Maura, you guys have done quite a number of weddings here. And so good things have been happening as well. And so we just recognize that this is a new season. That's why this is season 2. And let's embrace it with all the good that it brings, the joys, the blessings, and the challenges, because that's the nature of life.
Yeah. That is so true. And indeed, a lot has been happening, and we can capture a bit of what's been happening with us. I think Lorraine can't wait to say what's been happening to her.
I cannot.
Start us off and tell us what has been happening in your corner.
What has been happening, like I said, it's a bit obvious. Before, I was a different size. Or maybe it's just my stomach that was a different size as it happens. I have been telling them I had hoped to gain some weight so that some of you might take me a bit more seriously. But it did not happen, and I'm back. So I gave birth to a bouncing baby boy.
Congratulations.
Amen.
once
Congratulations.
Oh my
again.
goodness, he
Yeah.
is a joy, he is adorable. I'm here, I have separation anxiety, but I had separation anxiety from you too. So I thought this is just one afternoon, so let me come and meet these people again. My little boy, his name is Elion Midamo Bundi. Eh?
Lord, do you want to tell us what Elion means?
Oh yeah, Elion means, okay. Bishop Charles will correct me if I am wrong, because I think he knows better than I do. But Elion means God Most High, right?
Wow.
So I think Elion means Most High, but it describes God, the God who gave us that little boy. Oh, he's adorable. Maybe someday we will do a baby skips
I think it's time.
and have him running around here. So yeah, he's grown now. He's almost 2 months now. When
Yeah.
I'm done here, I will rush back home and hold him. I have already missed him for the few minutes that I have been here.
That's cool as being a mom,
Yes.
a new
Imagine,
mother.
can you believe I'm a mother? Can you?
Can I?
Me.
You. What can God do?
Ah, the Lord,
Yeah.
he is indeed
It's a
most
nice-
high.
It's a
Yes.
nice thing. We
Yeah.
thank God for that.
Yeah.
Let's get to hear more about what we'll be doing.
So when
Reverend
the,
Rovi.
when the Kanges call you mother, not sister, you won't be
Hakuna cha kujam, saizi na night.
start dressing them down. You are calling mother. Give me that child. Yeah.
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 It's good to be back for us. By us, I mean Reverend Julie and I. We went through a season of loss. We lost our dad, who used to live with us and was a big fan of Homescapes. So Homescapes has lost a fan. But using the word lost for Christians is a bit far-fetched, because for a believer, our dad was a believer. It's just a transition to a place where we shall all be. So we are in pain, but we are also with great hope, because we are all in the Lord Jesus. So the reality of being a believer is now more true to us than it has ever been, because of now we know that our Father is where we desire to be. So the description I have for losing dad, it's like someone who's gone through, and I apologize if there's someone who's gone through this, but if it's someone who has gone through a bomb blast, one day you are okay, you are walking through next to Fundi Cooperative, then bam, then you don't have legs. So living life without doubt is like adjusting to a new normal. So your life will never go back to how it used to be, because that was a strong pillar in Julie's life and Julie's family and in our family. So for us to say that we will go back to normal after 3 months is a lie. But we are now adjusting to the new normal of living without one who was like a limb in our lives. So, but God has been good to us. We have seen His faithfulness. This is a story that we can write for. We can write books about it. I mean, I was reading the book of Acts. This is the problem of being a pastor. You have so many things to say. I was reading the book of Acts, and at the time that God allowed the disciples to be persecuted, that's the time they saw God more. When they were being whipped and imprisoned, that's the day an angel himself came and whisked Peter out of prison and sent him back to the disciples. So ours is that kind of experience. God has allowed us to go through a season of pain, but God has shown His presence hard. So we cannot, if we would have to dumb ourselves down not to see the obvious signs of God's hand and God's providence to us as a family in this season. From the money which came from you guys, Homescapers and Mamlaka Hill Chapel Rocker members, you have blasted us with love and showered us with affection, unseen. So we don't doubt that we are in a community of faith. To how He has spoken to us in His word, He has spoken to Julie in dreams. God has been very vivid about His support to us in this season. So we are in pain, but we are grateful. And we are in mourning, but we are in hope. So it's a very interesting place to be. And we are trusting that God will see us through.
I'm just thinking it's an amazing, it's an amazing blessing to be in community, you know, and even as we walk through this journey of faith, you know, this is like now we are live. We are not performing. Everything is happening in real life, you know, as you see it. And so we are changing, we are forming, we are reforming, and God is growing us in different ways. In a sense, I feel like it's season 2, but even as we gather here, we are fundamentally different people. I mean, Lorraine is a mom. Can you believe that? You know? I mean, everything is different. You're saying you're not going back to how you used to be because something fundamentally has changed. You know, Julie will not be with her dad. You know, that's adjusting to a whole different scenario. But in all this, we know that God is involved. He has not abandoned us. We still soldier on with hope and with joy because, you know, of the promises that lie ahead. So I think it's a beautiful thing to be in the faith community. In fact, I don't know how we would make it after everything. When I think about what we've gone through, even as a church, how would we ever make it without God? It would be impossible.
We affirm the community of faith and what they have meant to us. And I believe that and hope that even for our congregation, you too have stories of God's faithfulness in your lives. And don't hesitate. Go ahead and text and tell us how it's been, how you've seen God in your life this last almost 2 months. And then we will read that and we shall encourage each other. Yes, Levin Maura. How about your corner? How has it looked like?
All right. Me and my home, we are glad and we are rejoicing. Our children are not with us. We took them to the village to be with their grandma. So we are enjoying. We arrive home in the evening and we ask, are you going to eat or do you want to have a meal or not? Before, I would not be asked like that. So we are in a new season, but we really do appreciate that. And my wife who is watching this program, she's doing well. I think from the church front, we have many things to thank God for. We started 3 classes actually, premarital counseling classes, and one called marriage solemnization class. And I know that some of those guys, they are watching us. I had sent them the link. And so we give God thanks for even providing, even during this time, that we are continue doing many weddings to celebrate many people are having children. You know, Lorraine is one of them.
Yeah.
Amid chaos or amidst pain, others are going through seasons of pain, but we are grateful and we are thankful.
He's still good, isn't
Yes.
he?
Mora, I was wondering whether COVID imeonyesha watu things are urgent. You can't postpone decisions forever. You know, so now quickly do this and
It's a
move
good
on.
time to say for better for worse. You
Yes.
know, and someone was telling me that don't ask us for the worst, for better, for sickness, in sickness and in health. You know, we are already sick. You know, so just ask, you know, remove that sickness part. You know, let us
With COVID
enjoy
or without.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? Huh? How about you, Jasmine?
Oh, I see. I've been doing fine. I think like Pastor Bishop Charles, was saying, it's really great to be in a community, and whatever this season we're talking about has allowed us is to know we can be present now at that time to support, because God has allowed us and given us the grace and strength to be fine at that moment, you know, to just come around, you know, the people who are going through different seasons. They are in and support, give the love, give all you can, so that, you know, we cannot change what is going through, but hopefully make the burden or the journey lighter and probably a lot more manageable. And I really thank God for such an opportunity to serve in that way, to serve Him in that way. So
Yeah,
I'd say
fantastic.
that's how I've been doing.
That's really nice. Yeah, yeah, good. I think we have all had a chance to share how it's been like. Have we shared about us? You know, shared about us. How
You
we've been?
haven't.
We are doing,
Our corner.
yeah, our corner. I think we are doing exceptionally well. Would you
Yes.
agree?
Yes, given
I'm
that
watching
we-
her, you know, closely for any threat of contradiction. Yeah, I think one of the things that I think we can celebrate is that I think on the health front, I think we've been doing a lot more exercises. I think we've been more intentional about getting out into the morning air, walking some distances, and just staying healthy and staying connected. I feel that has especially gone well.
Yeah.
Without the pressure of, you know, I don't need to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know,
Yeah.
with all this. You
Yeah.
can wake up, go for a 2-hour trek,
Yeah.
come back, have your
Yeah.
breakfast, pole,
Yeah.
and you know, you're feeling good. It's really gone well.
Lovely
I think that's one of the things that
Lovely
I've...
and Jasmine have been sleeping in. I remember at 8 a.m. They're wondering, what are you all saying?
It's
Two-hour
okay
trek,
to...
2-hour trek.
Yeah, it's okay to sleep in, but I think sometimes, you know, it's good to again the age that we are in.
Yeah.
You know, our bodies need maintenance servicing. For you guys, you all guys can get a free ride.
Yeah, for
After
now.
40, you start
Yeah.
maintenance. You know, paying
Yeah.
for maintenance.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we've enjoyed. Just a
Yeah.
time of bonding, talking, enjoying the morning air. I think that has really gone well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've confirmed that I'm gonna be on Mount Kenya soon.
Yeah, my
So I've
wife is
been
going to
training.
Mount Kenya in
Yeah.
just
No
a
way.
few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edmonds, I'm going to hike the mountain.
Wow.
Sabagi, someday you should carry us. Invite us on this mountain climbing.
No, I think I should invite you to a morning walk first.
No, no.
You can't start from
I want to go back to Mount Kenya.
Let's, I want to say
can start with the
that these views do not represent the entire group of Invite Lorraine.
As we are,
We are happy to see the mountain. and appreciate it.
while we are in the car, we
Yeah.
are fine with Red Hill, Museum Hill, Mamlaka Hill.
Ask us do hills.
Another psychological
Agony
hills, other hills.
Yes.
Yeah, but the real hills, they're there, and it's been amazing actually, even for me.
I think I've been a beneficiary of the fact that she's training for the mountain. Then we get to do the practice walks together. Although I also censor which walks I will go for.
Yeah. That's
I get to
important
take
too.
her
At
to a
that.
few of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Bishop, now we don't feel so bad. Now we know the reason.
At least.
Yeah.
Those ones who wake up in the morning to read the Bible, I look up to the mountain.
Yeah.
Where does my head come from? You know?
My head comes
There
from
are
the
actually those who look up the mountain, but we know everything about spouses. They choose what to do and what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to get him out of bed at sometimes he didn't want. So yeah.
That's
So
how you manage to do it.
that's how I managed to do it. Sometimes he didn't want, I do it on my own. But basically we've been able to do that, and it's been good. So now, I think we have had each other, we know how we've been, and I believe you're texting and telling us how it's been for you. And you can clearly see that we're excited to be back. But one of the things we would like to share in a bit is just a few things that you used to, you sent. You sent some messages, some questions, some comments. And we want to take a minute or two before we take a break and look at what you have sent to us in terms of a question or two. And then we're just going to read those and respond to them and invite you to continue sending questions and comments. And as soon as we have an opportunity, we will gather them and we will talk into those issues and seek God's counsel for you or on your behalf as far as that's concerned. So let's pick the questions. Philip Maura.
All right.
Reverend Maura, please pick one for us.
I have a question here. Question 5. Someone asked, my question is about getting into marriage with an older spouse. Is there something out of the extraordinary that one needs to do or no? Are there disadvantages of marrying someone a bit older? Yes, that's a question.
Oh, marrying someone a little older.
Yes.
A bit older.
A bit older.
There should be are there disadvantages of marrying someone.
At all.
But that's actually is a very good question. We affirm that question.
Yes.
A bit depends what we consider a bit.
Yeah.
A bit could be a little longer or a little. Everybody marry somebody who is either a bit older or a bit younger. But what are the issues there? Reverend Rovi, share a thought on that. Marrying someone a little older, disadvantages.
Are you older? Are you how much older?
25 years older than Julie.
Yeah. Are you trying to say something?
Lie on that spectrum.
Well, as the bishop has intimated, marrying anyone at any age, there are advantages and disadvantages. So practically, Reverend Jasmine, when you want to marry someone, you need to put that marriage in context. For example, if you married a fine gentleman whose metabolic age is 40, but real age is 75, you have to realize.
Are we talking about the real or the metabolic?
Could be 40 because that's why Jasmine married him in the first place. But the real age is 70. You know, those grandpas who have white beards and drip. And Jasmine has a man.
But
Looks
the
good.
drip is quite something. The
Drip
white
is
hair.
everything. But you know, in the next Jasmine, in the next 20 years.
No, ask you. Let me intervene. Mnasema haya. Think about it. Why do even younger guys dye their hair white?
Oh,
By the way, if you think about it,
That's what I mean by the drip.
Yeah.
Hapa hivi, even somewhere facial hair for white. Kuna kitu hapo.
mbona kuna
Anyway,
kitu unasema Reverend
white
Jasmine?
hair.
The ladies have spoken. I have nothing to say about that matter. But as I was saying, when you marry, like for example, if you marry, there are things that won't be the same. For example, I suspect, unless this old guy has just been drinking mojitos through life, that you will start at a far better economic place. You won't have to struggle for a loan for your first car.
Which is a good
Or-
factor
or
to
so-
consider for
Yeah, so there are some things that will be settled
woman
in
out there.
advance. Yeah, because the man is older and more established and able, has already worked to provide and to get what he needs. So you just engrafted into a life that has been settled. And more wisdom, and your interaction will not be the same just by virtue of the fact that he is older. In human nature, interaction is not the same when you are doing it with someone who's that much older. So there are things to consider. But if I was to speak in the presence of the many reverends that are gathered here, and I hope they don't have stones for blasphemy, there's no biblical precedence that stigmatizes marriage based on age. But then you should be prepared for the reality of marrying someone of a specific age. The same way you should be prepared if you're marrying a younger man
Or an age mate.
or an age mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I think all of it has its pros and cons. With age mates, maybe there's a lot more intensity in terms of questions of, say, intimacy, but it also plays out in other areas of competition and careers and other things. And even the arguments would be more intense. Whereas, maybe with the older person, they are a lot more mellowed.
Yeah.
You're likely to get away with a lot more sins. You know, in terms of just the things that you do, that they are not going to bother following up because they understand, you know, you are young and so on. And then you're also not going to be as synchronized in terms of maybe the things you want to do when you're much younger. This person has done them, and so then, you know, that's not exciting for them. So they won't be excited about that, but you will be. So you may not find yourself as synchronized as a younger couple who have other challenges which you may not have. Yeah.
Okay. And also some interest, I think. And as Bishop is saying, you know, you might be interested, you're in an age that you appreciate the pizza, you know, Kenchik fries and all that.
Yes.
But this is an older person who, you know, want, kuku kienyeji and all that, you know, porridge in the morning. So it might not be as exciting as you'd imagine. So I would say that be prepared. Be prepared that you are assuming some responsibilities, or you have to really catch up with some responsibility that if naturally they would have, or if you would have followed the natural pattern of marrying someone who is your age difference is not as huge, maybe there's some things that you'd have done there together. In this case, you might not have them, and there's some responsibility that you'll have to act. And also being, you know, called sweetie, you know, you might hear this Jama calling you, you know, Mzee calling you mom, you know, in front of your 20s, you know, age mate, it's calling you mom. Anyway, so I just appreciate that.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Familiar with the terminology at your babe and
Yeah, everything is a trade-off.
sweet.
Everything is a trade-off.
That you forget those ones. You let them go. But I think there are also other concerns. Someone older is facing other issues of life.
Yeah.
And somebody who is older may be carrying more baggage than a younger person. Maybe they had another family, so you have to tackle that. Maybe old-related health issues. You must be prepared for that. So I think the basic thing here is to understand what you are
Getting
yourself into, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's a question very well it's answered for now. But I think we have a ministry that deals with marriage-related issues very concisely, and they can be able to go into depth with us. So if you have a marriage-related question, please don't hesitate to come for counsel. Which other questions do we have? Jasmine, yeah?
Yeah, on a totally different note, this one is asking, how can one know whether their partner is plainly complacent or just trying to store up riches in heaven and not earth?
Boys, wanaume, wacha.
I think we need to know who's asking.
No, amesema partner. Mbona mmeshajiweka?
Huyu ni mwanaume.
Mbona mmeshajiweka?
Huyu ni mwanaume.
Why are you getting on the
That
defensive?
question is from a lady.
It's a lady.
It's a lady who is asking
it's
that
cut
question.
around the question of provision. Yeah, that's it.
It's not storing up riches for me.
So the question of riches is an issue.
Yes.
There are no riches.
I think complacency, I think that this lady has used a very good word there, but I think the word is there. The right word there is lazy. You know, he's not waking up early, you know, he's just maybe reading scriptures or something like that. And then he's not or attending many keshas and all that, storing up treasures in heaven.
Where moth and rust
Cannot.
does not.
But the earth has no resources. You can see in the earth provision.
Maybe the deeper question here is the balance between, you know, our spirituality and actually our practical engagement here on earth. You know, you've ever had somebody being told, you know, you're so spiritual, you're not good for this earth. It's like you're heaven bound.
Yes.
So I think just striking the balance between how practical should I be without being looked at, because sometimes we find somebody who's very invested, they work very hard, they do so much. You can almost judge them as being either materialistic or very worldly or something like that. And then if they're not spending enough time on what you call spiritual matters. And sometimes we have this dichotomy that there is what is spiritual and what is, you know, material. And that can lead us to you know, this kind of question. Are you wondering whether I should work hard here, earn money, you know, and do practical things like buy houses and live well? And is that opposed to me being spiritual, loving God, and doing all that? In other words, can I be, you know, does it have to be either or? You know?
No, Bishop, the scriptures say that it is difficult for a rich man.
For a rich man to enter
enter.
heaven.
And for a camel to go through the whole of
Anayo
No, but in,
Banido.
and in all truth, scripture doesn't give more context, saying this is the aspect of human responsibility. You know, you're on earth work. That one seems to be pretty clear.
Yeah.
It is
Riches.
difficult
Yes,
for a
difficult.
rich man.
Whatever the circumstances,
Whatever the
whether they started as born again or not, or whatever.
So in a way,
Yes.
tunaget huyu mtu.
But
Tunamwelewa.
in defense-
Know where they're coming
Ni kutafuta ufalme wa
Ni
mbinguni.
kutafuta ufalme wa
in defense
mbinguni.
of this lady, I don't think she's asking for a rich man. She's talking about complacency. Complacency is utter the basics, just to do the basics. Lipa steamer, brother. Maji isikatwe. So I don't think she's even asking for riches.
Yeah,
And then
lovely. But
one of the things we have done
finish first.
as a church head worker is we did a series on theology of work.
Yeah.
And how God is glorified when a man is working. I mean, you look at the things that glorified God about Adam. It was not the moment he prayed in the gardens to the Lord. It's when he was doing the things that God created him to do. So work is a big part
Yeah.
of what God created us to do. And work is not a punishment because of the fall. Of course, the labor was meant to be harder, and from the sort of our brow we would get from the fruit of the land. But work in itself glorifies God. So I think it's very dishonorable to God for you to be, I hope we never do this, in a prayer meeting at 10 in the morning. Because
be working.
I think God is more glorified when you wake up in the morning, pray, go to work,
Yeah.
come back in the evening after you have done your labor,
And you can thank him.
and pray and thank him
Prayer.
for the day.
For what
He
you
say,
have done.
I mean, Psalm says he will bless the fruit of your
Labor.
labor.
So there
And
have
then
to
the
be
blessings
labor
and prosperity will
for there to
follow
be fruits
you.
and for
Even
there to
the
be a
work that he
blessing.
Yeah.
establishes, he will establish the work of,
Of
your
your
hands.
hands.
If there's no work to establish, then what does God do? And I think what you guys said was very important, that, you know, though the Bible says that it is difficult for a rich man,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you should not try. You know,
Yeah.
Jesus ends by saying, because they said, then who can be saved? They said, what is impossible with man is possible with God. So Jesus is on the side of, hey, jaribu. It is difficult,
But try.
But it's not
try.
impossible.
Yeah.
At least you should try. And some of the wealthiest people were the most righteous. I mean,
Exactly.
think about Abraham.
Yeah.
He was extremely well. He became very wealthy.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible records. Look at Job.
Job.
You know,
Yeah.
he was the wealthiest man in the
Yeah.
East.
Yes.
And yet he was so righteous on the other hand. So
Yeah.
the two are, I don't think they are mutually exclusive. Becoming a hardworking person doesn't exclude you from being a righteous man. In fact, if you work hard on earth, you'll probably work hard on your spirituality
Yeah.
As well.
because it's a culture,
It's
you
an
know,
ethic
of working
you
hard.
bear.
So the brother needs to be.
What wache uvivu?
Yeah, really.
But labda mimi bado niko stuck na umse. Probably it's an ambitious, you know, you've met these industrious, ambitious women. So their idea of complacency, the brother thinks, me, I'm working. I am working. It's the definition of what complacency is that probably is the problem here. So labda.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
a
we
still
need
like a
more
chance.
details.
We
from
need
you.
more details.
What do you mean by
Let's
complacency?
not ingiliane
Let's do
good
this.
sana.
Let's also do this. Let's invite that person to Marriage 101, isn't it? Yeah. Because the complacency will be properly defined
Yeah.
in the right context there. So allow me to move us to the next one before we take our break. We have one more question here. Let me just read it for us. I'm in a loveless marriage and I no longer feel my spouse. I like the word feel. And I feel we have grown apart. I like the word feel. Can we split up? That's a question.
Can they split?
Can they split? What's the wisdom here?
Pastor Maura, what do you think? But tunasikia Maura
But Maura's mic is working. You can confirm.
I think first this is someone who has who is very, very indifferent about the situation of their marriage, and I think this is someone who has made up their mind already that this is what they want to go. So I'm not going to affirm them and say that please proceed and separate, but I think there is more. They can get more help. They can get more help because we do not know the situation why they are feeling like this. But they have to understand again the commitment that they made. You get, it was not a commitment based on the feelings. The feelings are good, you know, but it was not based really on that. It is about the covenant they made to God, you know, and to each other, you know, during that time. That through the best and the worst time will stick together. And so this is a worst time for them, but the word of God commands them or says that, stick together even during that time. And I think this is a storm that is happening in their marriage, and with some assistance, they can be helped to overcome that.
Lakini my question is this. Why, you see, me niko hapo kwa the word loveless. No one wants to live without love in the world, whether it's marriage or friendship, Reverend Jasmine, or parental love. So, is there hope for restoration of love? Because if we say, and we say that a lot, commitment, you made a covenant, nini, it feels like a burdensome kind of thing. Niko tu hapa juu nataka ufalme wa mbinguni. Mungu alisema wewe nilikwambia don't divorce, and you went ahead and did your own thing. So
start living boiled water per adventure, someone might fall.
You never know.
And the covenant is null and void by then.
Or they get COVID. They get COVID. So.
So is there hope? And is it just, when you get into that space, is that a permanent thing? Is there, you who have been married for longer than me, you sometimes dip and then you rise, and then dip again and then rise? I mean, it's just, you cannot have
very good. It's actually a very good question. Is there hope? Is a feeling permanent? Because this is a feeling.
Is a feeling permanent?
I think my comment would be that it would be a really dangerous thing to evaluate love based on feelings. A bad way of putting it is that love is overrated. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone here. But love in the sense of romantic love. Even the Bible distinguishes between the kinds of love. The kind of love that the Bible, when the Bible is talking about God and love, it talks about Hesed. Hesed is the covenantal, love.
The covenantal
that is
love.
Committed beyond circumstances, beyond time, beyond anything. But when you talk about the other bond of love, like phileo, the brotherly love, this fluctuates, and any couple walking down the aisle, are probably romantically deeply in love, which they will quickly fall out of. That is at the human level. When reality checks in, rent hasn't been paid, children are crying,
You're discouraging Reverend Jasmine.
Sorry.
Quickly fall out of.
This is Homescapes. This is us being real. So, we all know that very popular term. We know, when couples get married and then one day they come and tell you the honeymoon is over, what they really say is that, that romantic phase is over. Now reality has checked in. It's not that they don't love each other. They do at a deeper level, But this other, the feelings part of it is not as they may not feel it that way, but it doesn't mean that the reality is not there. So the question of a loveless marriage, that needs interrogation. Is it loveless because you don't feel it? Or is it that the fundamental things that brought you together have altered and changed? And that can only alter and change when you say, this person doesn't love me. He's already romantically involved with somebody else. That's something different. We can discuss that. You can start talking about loveless. But if it is just the fact that we're in that season of marriage where we don't feel each other, it doesn't mean you don't love each other. But it's just that the romantic aspects of it have faded to an extent where they're not obviously there, But those can be rekindled because they have to do with seasons of life. I mean, when we're starting Homescapes, we just say that we've gone through a season. That's why we are calling this season 2. It's different, from how it was in the beginning. And so the things that we have gone through will not alter our commitment to doing what we know we should do, despite the things that we have gone through. So I think every marriage must scale those heights. It must go through its valleys and through its mountains, but it's still there, and it is probably still very solid. The idea of should we split up, it's not that casual, because like Reverend Maura was saying, you say it for better or for worse. So when the worst comes, deal with it as well, but but commit yourself to go beyond it and then discover what lies deeper within. Yeah, so I think sometimes we buy into an idea of love that is very romantic, that is fleeting, even passing. It's not bad, but it is not the glue that actually binds a marriage together long term. Because so many things change over time. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. I think our
I crush anybody's hopes.
has come. But this break is going to be very short, like a minute or two. But it appears to me that from the questions coming from our audience, there is that our marriage 101 is life.
Yes,
Yeah, we have something to offer. Anybody asking a question on marriage, whatever question. So please do not be shy. Keep asking, send us your questions. And we shall also check our website because we'll be publicizing, even Sunday bulletin, when marriage 101 happens. Great. So let's take a break. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, that's a break.
You and you'd never leave. We need you, Lord. We need you, Lord. You are here, yes, and you. Oh, we need you, Lord. 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 You are here. You are here. And you said you'd never leave. We need you, Lord. We need you, Lord. We need you, Lord. You are here. You are here. And you said you'd never leave. We need you, Lord. 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 Yeah, you are true, and your promises remain. So we trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. Sing, you are true. You are true, and your promises remain. So we trust you. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. One more time, Lord. You are true. You are true, and we know that your promises remain. We trust you, Lord. We trust you. We trust you. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. Put our trust in you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We trust you, Lord. We
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We will go straight away to one more big question. And with that question, we'll be able to respond to as many as have asked the same question. Leverage Lorraine, I think Leverage Jasmine will ask that question for us, isn't it?
I thought you said answer.
You could answer as well, but let's ask it.
Let's start by
Let's
asking.
start by asking. Go ahead.
Sure,
Yeah.
I can read it. The husband is the head and provider of the family as stipulated by God's word. Comment about a spouse working abroad, especially a husband, in order to provide for his family and grow in career. Is this healthy for a married something when a couple is separated for several months in a year? So it has to do with the issue of one of the spouse kwenda maju.
This time is the husband.
Could be the guy's dream.
This is a comment and not an answer. I speak, cry my beloved men, because damned if you do, damned if you don't. One question, you are around, you're complacent. The other one, you are abroad providing. You're distant. Sasa, what do you want these men to do? When they're away, they are not okay. When they're around, they are not okay.
I think there is a question there. Isn't there a question, Jasmine?
Yes.
Can he not provide from near? Does he have to go
That's what I'm
abroad?
saying, yeah. Offer
Have you
both.
guys looked at the statistics of unemployment in Kenya? Awareness of context.
I think
People have to look for opportunities abroad. Our unemployment rate is high. It's like 46 or something.
But is
So it depends with the situation. There are those who have really no choice but to go to Bahrain. Okay, I'm talking about the lower order ones. And you know, where your life is at risk, but you know that after 1 or 2 years, if you make it, utaomoka. There are those who you have to join the US Marines, and you know US is not very welcome to foreigners. They just want to put you on the front line like Uriah, so that if you perish, you perish, but you perish with 10 million. The life of a man is hard, yo.
You better die providing. Try to provide for your family.
yeah. But I'm thinking, okay, sawa. If the job is abroad, enda my issue is enda na mimi. Ama enda na
Exactly.
sisi. We are not asking.
Mbona hutaki
What's
kuenda
that
na
look?
mimi?
Hey, why leave us? See, we go together. On what?
Unatafuta kazi na nini?
I think you see, first,
Maju.
These are friends who work for the UN.
Yeah.
How will take care of your wife and your family.
Yeah.
There is a ruthless side of provision. A man-eat man society that has very little concern for your family. So you're the one who has to factor in that concern for your family. So that has to be your business. When you get there, what they want is bottom lines. We are paying you X dollars, we want output. Whatever you do with that dollars, build a family, build a children's home, that's your business. So unfortunately, most people get to work in an environment that has no provision for family well-being.
And don't forget the organizations, especially the highly paying ones, that they consider family as a distraction. They actually don't have a room for that. It's only now that in the private sector they are recognizing, the social aspect of the holistic, approach towards a worker. Usually, people like that look at you as a factor of production. And the less distractions you have, the better. If they're taking you abroad, they're taking you. They don't want extra expenses, resulting from coming in with your family. So they'll give you super pay. What you want to do with that is up to you. But they want you focused like 24/7. And those very well-paying ones, by the way, sometimes they do intend to overwork you. So you might go with your husband, but it doesn't mean that you'll get to see much of him.
Exactly.
Because they will keep you. The reason he's getting that posting is because it's mostly intense. Some of them are actually from you hear there's been a tsunami in a certain region, they transfer you there because there's serious work to be done. And there are also risk factors. You may also not want to take your family to an environment that is not conducive to family and to friendship. And it's a decision that people need to make as a couple and say, is a reward worth the risk and for how long?
Because my question is, the assumption here is that you as a woman, you're going there to sit in the house.
Absolutely.
Am I also not a factor of production?
On the other side.
Si hata mi naweza enda ni clean pool ya mtu.
Yes.
Babysit my own children and someone else's children. Homeschool them. So that, you know, even me, I'm not sitting there waiting for you to come back to me. I'm also working. But the point is, whenever you will come back that evening or in the weekend, you will be with me.
You come back to your family.
You're assuming there will be a weekend, number one. And secondly, you're also assuming that the particular environment even allows for work to be done. For example, if this guy is in Bahrain, I don't want my wife working with some in some rich sheikhs some place. Because truth be told, we are talking about an African context. A lot of these countries don't have much respect for our people.
They don't.
And they treat you sometimes in a demeaning way, and you don't want that for your
kids
family.
and your family.
Even the exposure to racism and other things like that can be very exclusive. You know, I'd rather you be in a place where you have better supportive, you know, systems and mechanisms around you. Again, I'm saying this is for I'll propose it only for a timed. For a timed season. It's not indefinite, it's not open-ended, for obvious reasons, you know?
Yeah, because you see, if your spouse leaves, you being in a different environment changes you and grows you and exposes you to a lot. And leaving me in this third world country will leave me unexposed. And then you'll come back and find me without you. Suddenly I don't have enough etiquette. Suddenly
We are not on
one
one
page.
you don't know how
Bado
to
ninafunga nini kwa nywele nikilala. Wewe unataka hair that is sprawled. Because I am not exposed. So I don't want to be left behind like that. You might come back to me and find I am not worth coming back to. And I want to be worth you.
I think we're forgetting that the people who put pressure on this same guy are the ladies. You want somebody who will provide meaningfully, you know, in a substantial way. And sometimes this is the only option
And
that
not at the expense. But then there's always that disclaimer, not
I
at the expense
I want you and I
that
want
you're
the money.
deserting us. So it's both. So it's the, you know, you see the leadership and the headship you're talking about that God has given you. I think it's full of that wisdom that it does not.
Yes,
That's the right place to utilize it.
But
Yes.
some of my
Provide,
friends, the way they
but not
put
at
it is that
expense of our
they want
marriage.
this guy who either takes you. You know, a guy is supposed to think and think
That's
for the
why they are
family.
heads, isn't it?
Yes, they're head of the
Yeah.
family. And you think for
The brain belongs with you.
Yeah. You think for the family, you think for the welfare of the family. So you choose, and you choose right for the family. So if it's going Maju, we don't mind Maju. Maju jobs are good. We don't mind the exposure.
We want
so we want to go there and be with you. Because even the environment can be bad, you're going to conquer it.
Yes.
Isn't it? And make it right.
Yeah.
Both for
And I will
you.
comfort you when you
Yeah, and
come
I'll be
home,
there.
when it
Also,
has
you have to
hit you
understand
out
some.
there.
Because of the hard times that
Some are
you've
even
gone through.
taking a risk by going. Try to imagine someone who is going maybe to the West, maybe Europe or Americas, and he definitely can't go there with the family. You know, you maybe don't even have the right papers.
Definitely.
Only have one visa.
In most cases, you don't have the papers. So you're just going to try. And life here has been quite brutal. That's the reason why you only think that the only hope that you have is on the other side. You get, when you go there, you want to minimize the cost of living. You know, you want to live,
Unaishi tu kaa
spend a little money so that your children and your wife, they can live comfortably. Because definitely the boys, if you have the boys or the girls, they'll be asked by their friends, where is your dad? And they want to say that he went to this place, that's why we can afford all this. So you can imagine the pressure that the man is going through. So what I'm trying to say is this, that it is very, very practical, but I think it has its own challenges. Definitely it has its own challenges that as a family, as a couple, you must manage some of those expectations that you have. And if, as Bishop has said, if you don't have a set date of return, then it's going to be it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You get,
And remember, what you've said is important. The starting point is also very critical. There's a difference between the guy who is getting a UN posting to Banda Aceh with parks and everything, and the guy who is striking out on a limb because maisha huku kimeumana, so I'm not able to make ends meet. Let me go and try whenever. Amepata green card or whatever it is, and he's going out to start life. starting life, maybe you're going to be put up by some friend or relative who doesn't really like you that much, but because he'll take you on accommodation basis. Now, if you are with a family, that's a whole different story. Let's not even go there. So for the person who's going to start off and the risk elements and everything, trial and error, of course you don't want your family going through that. There are frustrations and things that you don't want them to witness. But when things, if you go there, you settle, you're successful, then you can invite them in. But a family comes to a home that is set, they want to find certain comforts and so on. So in that period, I think it would be an act of love to leave them, you know? And it is an act of love to leave them. Go,
something to prepare
For you. And when it's ready,
even Christ loved us so much. And Nasema, nimeenda, you know what did he tell Mary? You know, do not cling on me.
I must go.
I've not returned to the Father. Goja, you know, pole pole. And then when he goes, I'm going to pray. The question of preparing a place so that where I am, there too you may be also. Because that's what the wife desires.
The
You want
only
to be where
difference
your
is that
husband
you
is.
cannot put your trust in a man. In Jesus, you can.
I'm gonna say that.
You can
But
be sure
the-
he's preparing a place to bring you.
Listen.
No,
Man,
this is a
usually come
spiritual
for
man.
But the man,
usually come for you.
The man who loves his family.
it's second-hand trust in God, because the man trusts in God and you trust in God.
Yeah.
And you
but
trust
we
in
have
God
had
through the
cases
man.
of women.
I was gonna say that there's so many stories, so many cases of you know. Even before we go to the cases, this team keeps saying that it's the ladies who change. You know, when things get better for them, it's the ladies for change.
Yeah.
But the statistics and the stories we
Have
have
shown us.
Yes.
Which
have
ones?
shown us of men who've gone abroad in terms of providing for their family, and then they come back.
Then they provide for
Akiomoka.
themselves.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm not to see your face.
Umeshakula pesa yake, na you want that money.
Yes,
He has
okay,
worked
yes.
So
for you.
that's why
what
hope
you
can
can't
only
do.
be in Jesus.
Jazz.
That's why the true man wa kwenda abroad na
Yes.
kitu
Yeah, because they
like
call-
we trust he's
Trust
coming
is
back.
he, Jasmine, who puts his trust.
Listen, there are men who stay. There are men who stay and still have those kids. They're not pointees,
Yeah.
but they're kids. so it has not been proven statistically that staying around.
But it reduces the
Oh.
chance.
It reduces the chances at
prove
least,
your marriage.
at least I can see you.
I can smell the perfume on you when you come.
No, that is separation anxiety,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Because
anxiety.
you see, the man who strikes out to go and get, a career and whatever for the family, usually is very focused. And he's going there with one unique purpose. And some of them have beautiful stories because they either, send money back or they ask the family to join, and then we've actually visited a family like that, and it was amazing. I'm not saying there are no failure rates, but statistically, there are also those who go and really, really succeed, and the family then can have a very comfortable stay. There are also those who fail. It doesn't mean they would have succeeded if they were here.
Yeah.
They would still have failed. Actually, here, there you have prolonged hope because he might strike it rich and call you. But here you can see he's failing, and then he's failing some more.
Yeah.
That you're losing hope.
But let's focus on the issues here.
Yeah.
So what is at stake here?
Yeah.
So if a spouse is left for a period of time, what do we seek to lose as a family, as a marriage? Let's spend some time on that one and help.
Let me read from scripture first. I think again, this is a broader principle of oneness. This comes from Deuteronomy 24, verse 5. If a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. For 1 year, he is to be free to stay at home and bring happiness to the wife that he has married.
Amen.
Bring
Deuteronomy 24,
happiness.
verse 5 to 7.
1
Okay.
year.
Bring happiness. For 1 year. For
1 year.
Bring happiness.
For 1 year.
Put it in context.
For 1 month. Okay, again,
It is, yeah.
this is in recognition of the place of honor and oneness that the Bible actually says. That it's important for you to have a period of bonding.
Yeah.
To an extent where, you got married for a purpose, and there's a period and a season of joy. It specifically says, for minimum, I think it's a minimum of at least 1 year,
Yeah.
waache tu wa bond, let them have a great time together. Maybe by that time hata watoto wajakuja, there's, you're just the two of you, have fun. because circumstances change. This is what it recognizes. There might be war. Then you can also not be on honeymoon forever. That's what it's saying. Yeah? There will come a time when, things change and demands, you're now demanded to go either to the front line or to do some duty for your state, And so I think in recognition of that, we are saying, what you're saying is legitimate. But also, we can't also exist in a bubble because supposing you got married in good circumstances, alafu COVID imekuja, the guy lost his job. So, and then there's an opportunity and imekuja and it is in a different place, You must look at what do we need to sacrifice here now so that we can advance ourselves for the future. So I think it recognizes the desire to be one, but says that is not a permanent state of affairs in terms of the circumstances on the ground. The fact that the man is abroad earning a living, there's still a sense of oneness that he's doing this for us, And then there's a future hope that when this season is over, then we can be reunited and our joy will even be more complete than it would have been before. So I think it just recognizes that life is happening, and circumstances on the ground could change.
So then how do you cushion against, because once we spoke here and we talked about changing seasons, and that as seasons change in marriage and in relationships, it changes the people themselves, isn't it? Which means if you are separated, you are both changing, but not changing together. You're not growing together. So how do you cushion against that becoming different and maybe growing apart, so that after a year, 2 years, 3 years, which doesn't look too much, you call me, and then we can't. It's like we don't know each other anymore. It's like we are
The element
We
of
lost
compatibility
has been lost to some degree.
One of the things that we must say for this text is that it is ill-advised for a young couple
To separate earlier.
even for career purposes. It's ill-advised. Because it says you need a minimum bonding time so that you know each other well enough and that you have gelled well enough for the marriage not to be threatened. If you do it too early, obviously, it is an existential threat for that marriage. And so we are saying it's very different from, maybe Maggie and I, if an opportunity were to come for her or for me. And the way we would handle it, we might come to a decision that we would not advise a younger couple
To do that,
because of where they are at in terms of their own marriage. It's a time to solidify and cement. And this is something very practical because even here, when we have been posting some of our missionaries abroad, it's one of the factors that Maggie and I must meet with a couple and say, are we going to send you abroad? And then we hear you have separated. And if we see that the marriage itself is not strong enough, and we've made those decisions and they've been difficult, and said, for you guys, I think it's good for you not to go. You stay here until a minimum period of time has passed, and then you're sure about where you stand as a couple. Then even when we send you, then you're dealing with ministry challenges, not marriage challenges, because you had not gelled enough. Because finding yourself in a new place, that it means that there are threats that you're not equipped to handle. Not just are you dealing with each other, but also the external culture and other threats that you're facing that you might not be well equipped to handle.
Yeah, that is true. And again, let me just add this and say it before Reverend Lovey comments, is that we also need to build trust. If you don't have trust, even when you are locally here, let alone going abroad, your marriage will still be threatened. So in terms of the principle of separation for a period, for whatever reason, and not separation so that you're going to divorce, this agreement here, is that trust is a key pillar in a marriage. And we need to establish that before you can decide, I am going to be away for a period of time, and then I can come back. Let Rovi go ahead.
Oh, that's a very good point. I was listening intently. I also think you need to avoid decisions that are looking at an extreme output. Because there can be two outputs here. There is we want to be rich and we want to be intimate. So I've gotten a job and you're looking at 10 million in a year and you say, don't come back until you come back with that 10 million. And the flip side, you want to be next to me and you're like, you let that 10 million go, stay here. And for the rest of my life, I'll be wondering, if I had that 10 million, alafu ninunue hii shamba. Saa hii shamba naona ni Mwaura anauza yake 300 million. And deep down, there would be some resentment because of an opportunity that was lost. So my advice would be a balance. let's make 5 million. Let's invest the 5 million in having portions of time where we can be together. It will be expensive for you to come and for me to come back and for us to get time. But how can we find a way where we get something, but we also salvage a basic level of intimacy? Of course, at some level of growth as a couple, so that we're not focusing on extreme results. What I've seen is extreme results. One wants extremely to have me, the other one wants extremely to make the money and invest it in buying lands in Roaka or Wai, so that by the time I come back, we have 1,000 acres everywhere, including riparian land. We can spare some of that cost and invest it in us, even if it's a neutral place where every time we get 10 days, we kutana Somaliland for holiday in between this season. So I think that for me, I would look for how to have my cake and eat it. I think it's possible.
So the question is intentionality.
Yeah.
And there's no one answer that fits all. And we can tell you, for us, we've made different decisions at different times in our marriage, including and many, especially younger couples, will find themselves with opportunities, especially when it comes to career development and also academic development, because one of you is going to get a scholarship fully paid by some organization to go and do something that they have really desired to do. Are you going just to dismiss that, or are you going to look at where you are at as a couple and decide, I think this long term, the 2-year maybe program that is going to leapfrog you to this place in your career, which is good for the family long term, Then it also provides maybe opportunity for us to come and meet as a family, travel, and be together on holiday. I don't think you can just dismiss it that we've decided we won't be away. Or if you do that, then you're doing it consciously, knowing this is the choice that we have made. For us, intimacy is so premium that we can't afford to be away from each other for more than a year or more than 2 years, more than 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is. So I think every couple must make those decisions for themselves based on where they're at in terms of their own growth as a couple, but also in terms of their vision and their decision in terms of what do you want for this family long term.
And what about when one wants intimacy and the other one wants provision? So this sounds like you're not going anywhere. For me to be a man, I've been taught by my father, I must provide, pastor, help us.
I think that's where moral counseling come in. Wakuje kanisani, wakalishwe chini, wafundishwe compromise.
I don't know how to compromise, because anyway, every decision that we make, not just even of this relocating to a different place, every decision that we make is a trade-off. You're presented with 2 opportunities or 2 ideas, and so you are supposed to select one that really works for you best. I think, luckily in this case, leaving the question of intimacy on the side, at least nowadays things are kind of simple because of technology. I think it's really helping many. I know of a family that they live in different continents, and every day they'll gather together, they will play games online, even with the children, as a way of bonding. This opportunity was not presented in years before, but definitely without physical presence, there will be some definitely would not be the most ideal thing to do. The other thing is, I think, is accountability. I know some people who they leave, they say that, maybe for example like a regroup, that in case of anything, that you can help me if when I'm away, if my wife needs maybe a tap to be repaired, she doesn't need to struggle. You get, you can help. You get, but also on the other side also, let there be also accountability again, so that trust can be enhanced. Trust can be enhanced, and also set a date of return. I also say, if you do not have a day of return, that hope will die, will fade slowly over time, and that's when you see now people changing as we are hearing here. So that would be my advice.
Oh, fantastic! That's really good. Are the ladies happy to send their guys away? Do you think that you can flee the brother to go and pursue this career goal that we have thought together, agreed together that it will be for a time, and we want we don't mind my Jew, but he has thought for us.
I mean, it depends. Again, like Reverend Lobby said, if you really want the money, you'll be happy for him to go.
Yeah.
Some of us do want the economic freedom.
Yeah.
We don't have the financial freedom and we don't mind getting it. So you'll be like, where? And don't let a pesa so that we can have what we want
And I
here.
have your back.
And I have your back.
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Me, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just copied someone that
Yeah.
we usually watch online.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it depends. Depends
Yeah.
on who you are as a.
Right.
I think. I
As
don't know.
a person,
Yeah.
then as a couple.
And in addition to that, I think it's as it depends on who you are, that both of you have come to, to the middle, the compromise Maura is talking about. You've both weighed the situations and we've agreed. So that by the time I'm leaving the house and traveling, si kurushiana mikono, we've calculated our cost, we've said, I will miss out if there's a kid involved. They're 1 year old, I'll miss out on their development
growth.
for the 1
Yeah.
year that I'll be away. Making those calculations and being okay with it. So I think most of you said here intentionality, being very intentional. I think that's key, and that to a good extent settles my heart.
And then turned it. If you
Yeah,
have
then
that
turned
in
it,
mind,
yeah.
by the way, you feel free.
Oh.
Because June 6th.
He'll be right here.
Yeah.
I'll live for that day.
Absolutely. You look forward to it.
Although there's a man who waited,
Stella
who has a Stella.
Tarehe 17 mwezi wa tano.
Mwezi wa tano, the 17th of May.
Unamwendea kwa airport, anashuka na-
Make sure that it's not 17th of May. It's a jinx
doesn't
date.
come, I take a loan and our shamba that aliacha nyuma ndio collateral nampata huko.
Unampata huko.
Nampata huko. Akipitisha 6, 8 niko hapo.
Now, listen, guys.
Na akikuja na mtu wa country ingine atajua wa Kenya. That's we don't joke.
I think it seems like that's all we have time for today. And you guys are as amazing as usual.
Pastor Maggie
You have
fukuzai
done
us.
so well. Thank you so much. Our panelists, you have been awesome. And our audience, you've been awesome. You tuned in, you have given us your comments, and we thank God for you. Bless you, and have a great afternoon. We'll see you next week.
All right.